Anybody who's watched my show, listened to my show, read my articles over the past year is very likely familiar with central bank digital currencies. I've covered them profusely. I consider them to be multiple existential threats, not just one. They represent multiple threats from multiple fronts, I should say. We are in the process here in the United States of testing out the digital dollar. I bet you probably haven't heard that if you get your news from Fox News or CNN, but no, they rolled out their big tester of the digital dollar with multiple banks out in New York City back last November, and chances are they were actually working on it long before then. And of course, we've got several nations that are already they already got their central bank digital currency rolled out and operational. You got a couple dozen more that are in the process of trying to make it happen this year. And we would expect the vast majority of nations, if this trend is allowed to continue, the vast majority of nations will have one. Now, here's the thing, the big risk. Yeah, of course, we've talked about privacy, we've talked about security, we've talked about control. They will use the central bank digital currencies to tell us what we can eat, where we can go, who we can interact with, and everything. They'll be able to track every single transaction. That is, if you do embrace the central bank digital currency model. Now, they will tell you that you have to eventually. First, it'll start off as optional, then it'll be to where no man may buy or sell unless you're using a central bank digital currency. Of course, that's a reference to the book of Revelation. I'm not saying this is it, but hey, if it's going to happen in our lifetimes, this certainly seems to be it. Got to have the mark of the beast, right? Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, there's an article over at Mercola.com. Dr. Joseph Mercola put together an article that he's referencing 10 practical steps people can take by finance guru Catherine Austin Fitts, who does a fantastic job of laying out some practical tips, as I said. Now, on one hand, we have to try to fight this. On the other hand, we have to prepare for just in case it does roll out. So I think these tips, some of them, they work in both directions. We're going to keep fighting. Okay, I'm not willing to give up yet. Not even close. Okay, we fight the good fight. We don't know what God's plan is. We don't know if we can stop this. But if we can, we're going to try. Even if we can't, we still have to try, right? But on the other hand, we have to acknowledge that it is a very, very clear and distinct possibility that it will happen. So we also have to prepare for that potential inevitability. Let me get to the article real quick. Well, let's start with story at a glance. You can watch. There's a great video from the Corbett report that you can read, or read. You don't read the video. You watch the video. You can read the article. There we go. Learning how all this stuff works. We'll start with story at a glance, and then we're going to skip way down and get to those 10 practical steps so we can squeeze all this into one segment today. Story at a glance. In 2023, 11 countries have fully launched a digital currency, while more than 20 more will be moving forwards to start one. 114 countries, which represents more than 95% of global GDP, are looking into CBDCs, up from just 35 countries in 2020. Finance guru Catherine Austin Fitts detailed 10 practical steps individuals can take to stop implementation of central bank digital currencies. Tips include yada, yada, yada. Let's just get to the tips. Like I said, I want to there's a lot to talk about here. All right, 10 action steps. Number one, use cash. Use cash whenever you can. There's a lot of people that are out there that will say that the cash, credit is all the same. Credit is, and that's, by the way, that's how they're going to try to get you to embrace central bank digital currencies. They're going to tell you, hey, you're already buying online. You're already using your credit card at the gas station. What cash? It's filthy. It's not backed by anything. Not that the central bank digital currencies will be backed by anything, unless that's the reason that they're buying all the gold up. But that's a whole other discussion for another day. But anyway, you should be using cash anyway. And it's funny because I would have been the exact opposite just 10, 20 years ago. I would have said, try to get away from cash, because cash is fiat currency and we need to be trying to focus on get back on the gold standard and this, that, or the other. Well, that's not going to happen. We're going to get on this digital standard, central bank digital currencies. And in this scenario, that means that we are going to have to get cash and start using it as much as possible. This isn't just about, you might think, well, if they roll it out, won't cash become obsolete? Yes, but the transition is a lot easier from electronic payments. The reason that you're doing it is not just to keep your own transactions, your own purchases anonymous, because obviously they can track credit card purchases or PayPal purchases or Venmo or whatever. But the other reason is because we want to try to get get local businesses, away from accepting being more likely to accept central bank digital currencies, or perhaps a cashless version of society altogether. There's multiple reasons for this, but I wholeheartedly agree with that one. And like I said, a decade ago, I might have been against it. I probably was. Don't remember exactly if I was or not, but I know that I would have been, because there were advantages to try to pull away from cash, and I was just dumber back then. All right, smarter today. Let's move on to number 2. Embracing analog. While some digitization is okay, an entire digital system is at risk of being manipulated and controlled by central powers. So, in other words, try to avoid stuff like biometric technology, QR codes, as they're talking about. And even if everything that you have is dependent upon being online, you might want to get away from that as much as possible. Just as an example, where we got I think it was like $100 drive. It's like 4 terabytes, and we're trying to download videos and entertainment and documentaries that we want to keep. Okay, because we don't want everything to be in the cloud on the internet. What if the internet goes down? So having that available, and of course, a lot of how-to guides on raising chickens, planting and raising various types of fruits and vegetables. We got lots of stuff like that, and I would recommend doing it. Like I said, it was about $100. And you can get a smaller one if you'd like. You can also use video compression to try to squeeze as much of it as possible. And it's not just videos. Get all of your documents that you have online, get them saved to where they're not just online. All right, number 3. This is an important one, very important. So pay attention. Number 3: do business with people you trust. And I'll add to that, get more people that you can trust. Start doing business and try to. I was recommending to a friend the other day, because he had met a rancher that he really liked. I'm like, hey, get that hookup. Do whatever you can to get really friendly with that person, because you got a good rancher. Let's keep that connection. If you have to do a little work, buy a little extra, whatever, do it. Focus on finding people of integrity with whom to conduct business, even if it costs more. Fitz says it's worth it. In the end, fraudsters and others who contribute to unhealthy systems through their own greed or lust for power cause untold losses. All of those little expenses related to transacting with integrity can end up being lifesavers. I wholeheartedly agree. Corbett refers to this as freedom cells and recommends joining with a small group of 8 or so other people, then connecting to other groups, engaging in a local exchange trading system, or using some form of community currency. This will facilitate actual productive economic activity if we arrive at the Mad Max apocalyptic scenario, or the government coming down and cracking down on dissent to the point of taking you off the payment grid. So true. So true. I know it's hard for a lot of people, especially if you don't live in a tight-knit community. Let's say, you don't live in a community at all. Maybe it's or just a prison. Let's say you're living in New York City or LA or something like that. It can be hard. Then again, if you're too spread out, it could be hard as well, just because you don't have a whole lot of neighbors to interact with. You have to, but now's not the time to be a complete introvert. I know that's hard for some of us, but it may be time to try to meet people. Even if you have to go online, while we still can, go online and try to find local groups that you can interact with, that you can meet with in person. Find people that you can trust. And I know that's hard. I know time is short. And I know you can never fully trust a lot of people, but you got to try, because there will be people that, hopefully, out of the, Lord willing, some of the people that you meet will be people that you can interact with from now until the end. Number 4, choose a small local bank. Ditch large multinational banks in favor of trustworthy local banks or credit unions. While you're there, let bankers know about the dangers of CBDCs. The Solari report, and that's from Fitz, that's her report, even has a template letter you can use to inform your banker about the downsides of CBDCs. I love it. And look, I know some people will probably scoff and say, oh, they're not going to listen to. If you're dealing with a local bank, okay, there's a very good chance that the people there at the bank, at the credit union, that they will listen to you. Okay, because they need to be. Listen, just because somebody owns a bank, works at a bank, has some other interest in a bank, that doesn't mean they're just evil bankers. They're burning money cigars or whatever. It's not like that. You're dealing with local bankers. These are people that go to the grocery store, go to church, go to whatever. A lot of them can be convinced, hey, try to avoid central bank digital currencies. Do whatever you can to stay off that racket. And here's why. Watch this video by JD Rucker over at the JD Rucker Political Report. He'll take care of you. There we go. That's what you should do. Pro tip. Number 5, finance friends, not enemies. Good stuff. While limiting the number of online and digital finance transactions you make, avoid supporting credit card companies and financial technology firms intent on expanding digital IDs, vaccine passports, and CBDCs. Instead, focus on making financial transactions with like-minded people and entities. Financing your local farmer or farm distribution service may not look like a great moneymaker, but it means, and this is according to Catherine Fitz, but it means you will have a better chance of not being cornered into eating insects or lab-grown meat. Good point. When you are in a survival situation, this is Corbett now. When you're in a survival situation, when you were literally scrambling to provide food for your family, let's start from that point of the survival currency. What can I do to facilitate exchange with people in my area who I want to exchange with, but we don't have to access to those dollars or pesos or whatever? Good point. Good point. Again, it's just in both of these points, the last 2 points comes down to trying to build a localized ecosystem, a localized alternative financial economic trading system, barter system, if you will. Just again, making people aware. And I know this is not for everybody, but here's the thing. I'll bet you if you look, depending on where you are, there's a good chance that somebody's already starting to find groups to join, vet them out, look at them, and ask questions, meet with them if you can, if it's safe. If it's safe, of course, because there will be con artists as well. But try to figure out, just do what you can. Don't just read an article and then move on, okay? Don't just listen to my video and then move on. Think about this stuff. Talk to your friends and neighbors that are close by. See if maybe they have some ideas. Maybe they're already in a group. I've found that if you have friends, neighbors, relatives, all within, a tight geographic area, chances are they're relatively like-minded with you. Okay, from maybe you're the black sheep, maybe not. Who knows? But try to find those people. Maybe they have ideas. Maybe they already have a group. So I'm repeating myself, but it's that important. I want to make sure everybody gets that part. That's extremely important. Number 6, ask state officials to support financial freedom. The states may be our only recourse, okay, because it seems as if the federal government, and again, we're talking not just under Biden, even under Trump, not Trump himself, but there were a lot of pushes. And I could see, even Republican presidents, Republican lawmakers going in the wrong direction. So work with your city councils, your mayors, your state legislators. Make sure they know where you stand and where get people together. Protest if you have to. Make them say no, make them do what is necessary to potentially outlaw it, which may not work in the long term, but if you can get a delay, that might be enough time to get yourself prepared for the inevitable. These little things that we do, they can add up, especially if you start working as a group, start working with other like-minded people. It's not just about, getting all your prepper food together. It's about trying to stop this from coming down in the first place. Number 7, hold the New York Fed accountable. I'm going to skip this one. Yeah, I'm not going to skip it. Let me read it, but I don't see this happening. Hasn't happened before. I don't see it happening anytime soon, not unless there's a true catastrophe. But at that point, it'll be too late. The New York Federal Reserve Bank, which acts as the depository of the U.S. government and stores the largest known depository of gold in the world, holds immense power over the U.S. financial policy. Fitz suggests contacting your congressional representative to demand an audit of the New York Fed, including tracing $21 trillion in funds missing from the U.S. government, which amounts to $65,000 per person in the U.S. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of faith. I think that's spinning our wheels. Maybe it was just you had to add something to get to 10. I don't know, but now this one actually does. This is a big, big bold idea that actually would have some hold some weight if we can get a very strongly conservative, patriotic government, whether between president as well as in Congress. It is to tell the U.S. to leave the WHO. The U.S. government has close ties to I was about to say the Wuhan Health Organization. How funny. The World Health Organization. Not only does it provide between 200 million and 600 million in funding annually, but it's actively engaged with the organization. We need to do everything we can talking to our representatives and tell them if they have the power to participate in such a vote, tell them where you stand. Number 9, reject taxation without representation. CBDCs will rapidly usher in an era of taxation without representation, leading to the end of liberty. By granting complete control of individuals' financial transactions to central bankers, CBDCs allow the government to maintain complete control. And this is according to Fitz, under a CBDC system in which government maintains and controls all financial transactions. If a citizen objects to taxation without representation by refusing to pay federal tax in the face of gross violations of the Constitution and human rights, the central bankers can simply take the taxed amount from these such individuals' accounts. Crazy stuff. Number 10, share your knowledge with friends and family. This is so important. Tell everyone you know about the true intention of CBDCs so they can also take action against them. This includes educating yourself and others to resist propaganda tactics being used by big tech to influence public opinion and individual minds. And I will say this is that we haven't seen anything yet. Okay, they're doing this on the down low right now, but when they really want to take this, they're going to take those 87,000 IRS agents that they're allegedly going to hire. These aren't going to be real IRS agents. Most of them are going to be digital dollar programmers. Okay, these are going to be people that are going to go out and try to install the programs, you do the training. You need boots on the ground. You need a small army, and that's why I believe that's what the 87,000 IRS agents are really for. It doesn't make sense. Otherwise, I'm not saying they're not going to go out to the middle class or small businesses with audits. That'll happen too, but you could do that with like 3,000 or 4,000 additional IRS agents. The fact that it's 87,000, I think it's tied to Central Bank Digital Currencies. I really, really do. There's no reason to be scared of this. It's just about getting ready. It's just about doing what you can to protect yourself, protect your family, and to enlighten others. This is one of those situations where we do need people, we do need the masses to fall in line. And when they start the propaganda, they're going to be able to get the vast majority of Americans on their side. We need to get small groups, and hopefully large groups, that can understand the truth. And that really comes down to you and me and the people you know, making others aware. Hey everybody, it's JD Rucker. I just wanted to thank you all for watching this video. I wanted to tell you that this is part of the JD Rucker Political Report, which is not to be confused with the JD Rucker Show. The JD Rucker Show is free 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, on the various networks that I'm on. It starts at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and it's great. I love it. The JD Rucker Political Report is a premium show at Red Voice Media. This premium show is available at Red Voice Media. You can use promo code JDR if you sign up for my show, and everybody else. You get everybody's premium show if you do sign up, so that's awesome. If you want to listen to the replay is on at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at America Out Loud Talk Radio, as well as on Apple Podcasts. There we go. Can't remember where I am. Apple Podcasts. So, and that, of course, is just the audio version. But if you want to watch it on video, redvoicemedia.com, premium. Use promo code JDR.